Hello and welcome to the Waymaker Business Plan Masterclass. My name's Stuart, founder and CEO at Waymaker, and a real pleasure to have you on the webinar and in the masterclass. I actually love these masterclasses. This is our, second, but when we've done a lot of other videos, but the reason I love them is because we get into the detail of some of the hows and some of the best practices. So if you're new to Waymaker, we're a performance platform. We know every leader in every business knows and believes that their team can actually achieve a lot more, but it's really hard in the speed and chaos of day-to-day work to really find out where that performance intelligence improvement can happen. And Waymaker as a platform closes that gap. We make accountability easy, and we help teams perform and hit goals up to 77% more effectively. And we do that by providing Waymaker as software to plan, track, meet, and improve. Now, this webinar is really focused on the planning element, but when you're planning, you're building the accountability structures for the rest of the sequence to track, to meet, and ultimately improve. So I want to jump right in. And let's look at the agenda. I want to talk about the problem with business planning in today's world, because there is a problem. We all know that not every plan works, and I'm going to talk about why. I'm going to talk about the skill and system of planning. I'm going to talk about the shift that's happened in the last few years and what that means for your organisation into the future. I'm going to talk about the essential ingredients for planning, and I'm going to introduce you to a framework that we use at Waymaker that we've developed for users of Waymaker called 7 Questions, and really the only 7 questions you need to answer. And it's really important to know that that's a framework. You need to take that, adapt it, and apply it to you in whatever way, shape or form. We're going to talk about the 4 things to plan, track, meet and improve, and I'm actually going to show you a living, breathing, working example in Waymaker. So about half of this masterclass will be PowerPoint slides. The other half will be in the app, working through and showing you how to access business plan templates. Okay, so learning outcomes. What are you going to learn out of this? You're going to learn how to avoid plan failure. You're going to learn how to apply strategic agility. Pretty simply, you're going to learn how to write a business plan, and importantly, you're going to learn how to execute a business plan, because that's, some would say, equally important as to the writing. But let's jump in and talk it through. So why do plans fail? I can guarantee you, if you're listening to this and you're just like me, you've written plans that fail. And they fail for many reasons, but here's some of the big ones. Poor and unclear expectations. Sometimes as leaders, we're unclear on what we're seeking to gain or expect out of our people. Lack of market insight, very common. Expectations ought to be rooted in market realities. And from that come unrealistic assumptions. You cannot control the whole market. That's incredibly rare, and you're probably not going to do that in your journey as a business or an organisation. Poor risk management. Risk management is often the boring, unsexy element of planning, and I'll show you how with Waymaker it's much easier. Plans lack agility. You'll hear me say this during the presentation, but I think it was a quote from a Prussian military general in the 1800s that no plan survives contact with the enemy. Insufficient capital. So sometimes we plan for things that we actually can't do, and that's the high risk then of not being able to do it. Most importantly, lack of ownership in plans. We often write lots of words in plans or lots of numbers in spreadsheets, but we fail to translate those items into clear and accountable ownership through goals and outcomes. And look, the reality is, and this last one, meteors, the reality is meteors will hit you. Things outside of your control will come into your organisation or business, and those things will happen to you through no fault of your own. Now, the reality is that's going to happen. I'm not suggesting a real-time, real-life meteor, but stuff happens, and sometimes it's beyond your control. That's sometimes why plans fail. However, things can be different. So if we know that plans do fail, and we know that no plan survives contact with the enemy, one of my favourite quotes from von Moltke, the Prussian military genius from the 1800s, we should also know that if plans fail and if no plan really can survive first contact with the enemy, well, why do we bother to plan? And that's actually a really good question. And the answer is because the primary beneficiary of a plan is actually the planner. And the reason for that is because as you plan, as you stop, you think, you plan, you actually become empowered as the leader. So if you know where you're going, if you know why you're going there, if you know how to get there, when those meteors happen, when the high risk enters the room, when stuff happens because of your mismanagement or because of market forces, you know how to be an effective leader. Now, it's amazing. It's lovely when plans can just be executed. We just don't really live in those times where we can expect everything to be normal. The reality is that we should expect plans to have to face contact with the enemy, the marketplace, and we should still plan. We actually should still take the time to think, to plan, because the most important beneficiary of that plan is you, the planner, whether that be as a team we're planning or as an individual. But as we thoughtfully work through the problems, through the clarity, through the alignment, we're actually equipping ourselves and empowering ourselves to execute either in alignment to the plan or in adaptivity to the plan. And that's the key. So too often, and I've done this, we get busy in life and we go, oh gosh, this year or this quarter is going to be the same as last year or last quarter, and kind of whip out the old plan and just add 5% and we'll just do that. And really that's a failure. That's a failure to think, and it's a failure to plan, and that's a failure to be adaptable. And there's a great framework that comes out of a sales writer called Jason Jordan, who wrote the book Cracking the Sales Management Code. And he makes a great point when studying high-performing salespeople. And that point is that results, which are the outcomes of plans, happen to us when we're positioned to win. Now, this sometimes sounds a bit counterintuitive when you first say it, but results are things that happen to us. They're not actually things that we control. I say that sometimes, and CEOs or senior leaders look at me and they're like, really? But actually, that's true. You can't guarantee a result. And that's a really important open mindset to approach your planning. It doesn't mean that you don't position yourself to get that result, but it means you don't work or expect as though you've got that result. And that's a very different mindset. So Jason Jordan, in his writings, talking about high performance, has this really simple framework. And he says, results are things that happen to us. The goals or the objectives are things that we agree on. And maybe we've kind of got a 50-50 potential on hitting those, sometimes more, sometimes less. And then the activities and tasks, the things that we do, well, we actually have 100% control over those things because we can choose to do the things that we need to do on a daily basis. And it kind of is common sense. If we say, hey, these are the goals we want to achieve, and those goals and those outcomes position us for success, that give us the results we want, then we've just got to work backwards and say, what are the activities and tasks that we have to do on a daily basis to own the future outcome, which is why results happen to us when we're positioned to win. And if you've been in our goals masterclass, you'll understand the power of goal setting. But goals position us to win. They're not necessarily the win in and of themselves, but they position us to win. And I think that's really important because when we understand that plans fail, some plans work, some plans don't, but no plan survives contact with the enemy, the great saying. But if we can agree on the things that matter to work towards and we can agree on the things that we need to do daily, then that's going to position us in the best possible way for success. So goals become an instrument inside the plan to position us for success, for the real results, to hit that EBITDA, to deliver that revenue, to outperform the market. And that's why one of my favorite sayings in planning land, and if you've listened to my podcast or any of our blogs or videos, then you'll hear me say this, and that is that we should hold the future lightly and the present tightly. We should hold the future lightly and the present tightly. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we move through this presentation, because we need to recognize that business planning has changed over time. How has it changed? Well, it's certainly become more sophisticated. It's certainly become deeper. If you've been in any corporate planning environment, they're complex beasts. But when we look back in history, and let's just take history as the last 70 or 80 years, we can see a move from the analog to the digital. And this is a kind of a helpful little chart that if we go back to the 50s, one of the great godfathers, grandfathers of modern management, Peter Drucker, I'm not going to say invented, but certainly articulated the idea of management by objectives, using goals or objectives to guide the functions and the activities of organisations. And the modern business plan was certainly born in the post-World War II era of the 1950s and 60s, built off the disciplined planning of the Western military machine. That's probably fair to say. With that came this birth of management by objective. If you've looked in it and read any modern management book, it's going to carry the elements of military-esque language. That's where much of our planning science has emerged. And so enter the corporate world of vision and mission statements in the late 70s, early 80s, and the modern management consultant boomed. And off the back of that came great work from people like Norton and Kaplan in the 1990s, who wrote about balanced scorecards to try and use goals and objectives in a balanced manner to try and balance the organisation so that it didn't overbear to one area. Great work, great research, applicable still today. Coming out of the balanced scorecards world, we see the emergence of one-page plans and great books written by scaling up experts in the early 2000s. And as the modern business operating system idea emerges out of the 90s and the early 2000s, we see the real digital systems coming to life through the emergence of early cloud computing, CRMs, automations, analytics, business intelligence systems, and really from mid-2000s to 2015, 2018, this boom in cloud computing and business information. And off the back of that comes this boom in agile, in trying to think differently, lean and agile practices, really cemented through books like Lean Startup in the early 2000s and agile methodologies versus waterfall methodologies. We emerge into a 21st century world where geopolitically things are pretty unstable, probably more unstable than maybe in most of our lifetimes. Economically, very volatile. Medically, we've experienced some pretty significant pandemics and not just the COVID pandemic, but the SARS implications, particularly in Southeast Asia. Certainly affected travel across Hong Kong, Singapore, Southeast Asia, and here in Australasia. And so in today's world, we're in a world that's heavily influenced through volatility, heavily influenced through technology, AI, digital, and the decentralization of both people and information. And organizations, to be frank, are struggling. It is hard to plan for stability when some of these macro forces are fighting against marketplaces. Now, I don't really need to dig too much into that, but it sets a scene to say perhaps the way we used to write plans, execute plans, and work on plans means we need to hold the future lightly and the present tightly, because in an era gone past, we could probably hold the future much more tightly. We could be confident that a marketplace was stable over a 5, 7, 10-year period. And to be frank, in today's world, it's not necessarily stable. There are challenges to face, which means there are things we can do as leaders to respond to that, to be more adaptive, agile, thoughtful, build a way of planning that can help us through that environment. So that leads the scene setting to how to write a plan. And I'm going to talk a bit about this, and we're going to put some frameworks in place. And often one of the big questions that is asked is, well, how long should a plan be? And my answer to that is always a plan should be as short as possible and as long as needed. And I love the picture of the little slinky toy. If you've ever played with one of those, you can send them down staircases and over shelves and have lots of fun with them as a kid and with kids. But the point here is a slinky toy will expand and contract. To go over a set of steps and hurdles on a journey and be as long and as short as need be. And your plan kind of needs to think and act like that. So there's 3 ingredients to this flexible planning mindset that you need to have. So the ingredients of every plan, I like to put in these 3 buckets. Number 1, directional clarity. Number 2, functional clarity. Number 3, performance clarity. So directional clarity, functional clarity, and performance clarity. What is directional clarity? Well, directional clarity is the stuff about where are we going. It's the vision stuff. Where are we going? Why are we doing it? Who's our customer and what's our strategy? And when I say strategy, I mean position in market to get there. So it's the real movement stuff. This is who we are, why we exist, whom we're serving, and why we matter in this marketplace and how we'll win in this marketplace. That's directional clarity. And that is the fundamental job of senior leaders, to ensure that directional clarity is found, has fit, and can be focused. Functional clarity is the operational clarity inside an organization, primarily in the areas of CX and EX, or customer experience and employee experience. And you'll see how this fits in a moment, which means functional clarity in marketing, sales, service, people and culture, IT, whatever functions or departments that exist inside the organization. Do we have functional clarity, i.e., are the cogs of the machine working in order to drive the directional clarity? And so a marketing plan obviously has to fit the directional clarity, but we have to have fundamental focus in that. And then performance clarity, which is woven into all of these, which is, do we understand the goals, where we're going in the short, mid, long term, the outcomes, the actual metrics and KPIs we're going to hit, and then the projects and tasks, the activities we need to do. And is that performance clarity embedded and accountable and responsible across the organization. So that's goals. That's primarily the function of goals and tasks. So 3 ingredients of every plan: directional clarity, functional clarity, performance clarity. Cool. Okay. There's a bit of theory still here. Let's keep moving. And really the point I want to make is that, if we think no plan escapes contact with the enemy, then plans become complex and can get chaotic. And if we don't have a set of skills and a defined system, then we cannot simplify the complexity, stop the chaos, and actually manage and lead plans. So if you have been around Waymaker, we have at the very sort of meta-narrative of this organisation, this big idea of something we call a leadership curve. Now, what does that look like? It looks like this. It just means that any person or business, if they want to build and grow and mature over time and increase value, then they need to invest in skills and systems. And it's the investment in the right skills and the right systems at the right time that increases the right value. What does that mean? Use an analogy. If you are a race car driver, you don't put somebody with low skills in a highly effective system. Let's call that a Formula One race car. You don't put a learner driver in a Formula One race car. They will crash it on the first press of the accelerator pedal. Conversely, you don't give Formula One drivers Volkswagen Beetles. They'll have fun for 5 minutes, but they're not going to get the job done. So this idea of the right skills and the right systems over time is where the organisation needs to maximise its value. And planning, business planning, is no different. It's a function of, do we have the planning skills, the planning systems that help us build the value over time? And this is where, where are you as an organisation on this maturity curve that helps you understand, well, how deep does my planning need to be? And so, again, if you've been around any of our material on the leadership curve, we often break this curve up from a organisational perspective into these kind of phases. And look, not too different from how others might sort of slice up a maturity curve, but in real simplicity, every organisation starts with, I have an idea. I've discovered something. I think there's a problem to solve in the marketplace. That idea needs to be taken to market to find fit, to figure out who you are in this market. We call that the identity stage. It's really working out, who are we? What role do we play in this marketplace? And do we solve a problem? Now, getting through that stage means that, we do solve a problem. We do have fit. We do have a role to play here. And therefore, we're going to start to grow teams, skills, and systems, which is the calibration phase. We're going to grow the size of our organisation. As that organisation grows, you're going to move into maturity, hopefully. And from maturity, hopefully you might break through into a position of mastery or market leadership. Now, as we know, every organisation can't stay there without continuously reassessing how to innovate their way up into new positions of market leadership. And there are wonderful organisations, big organisations, that have demonstrated that beautifully over the years. Organisations like Apple or Amazon or Walmart or any of the organisations that have managed to stay at the forefront of their market over multiple generations. And that is mastery and market leadership at play. So what does that really mean for you? It means that in order to move up that leadership curve, you need to have a set of skills and a set of systems to plan, track, meet, improve. Obviously, we believe Waymaker is the system to do that. And it's important to understand, well, how do I think about my organisation through those growth stages? And we would say it doesn't matter what size organisation you are, there's some core functions to have clarity in, and this is where directional clarity and functional clarity and performance clarity come together. So every organization could be sliced and diced up into, do we have clarity of vision and purpose, where we're going? Do we have clarity of market and ideal customer whom we serve? Do we have clarity of strategy and the position in market that can become a winning position? Do we have clarity of our business model and what creates value and how to improve and drive that through financial outcomes? Do we have clarity in our customer experience and how to acquire, retain and grow customers? And do we have clarity in our employee experience, how to acquire, retain and grow talent? Most importantly, across all of those, do we have clear performance outcomes in the short and mid-term with goals that can actually start to move us up the maturity curve to get progress? And in all of those areas, and this is where it starts to become complex, we've actually got to have an investment in the right skills and systems. And this is where we learned something from the British military, who in thinking through their battle planning process, developed a beautifully simple approach to building a plan. And it was through a Socratic method, a question and answer method. And they focused on the idea of, current battle plans are taking weeks and months to define and execute. This is in the late 80s, early 90s. And that's too long, obviously. So we need a faster, more active or agile method to develop a plan. And the method they developed was a question and answer method. And no huge secrets here. You can read about this online. You can search that up. That's a brilliant way of simplifying complexity by asking questions. And so a way, the Waymaker way, but a way of writing a business plan is to use this question and answer method. And we have 7 questions that align with these functions. And the questions are these. If you ask and answer these questions, you'll have written a plan. These questions are really simple at face value and actually quite deep as you peel the layers off. In the area of vision, the question is question 1. First question to answer is, what is our vision? Is it driven by our purpose, which is the problem we solve? And what's holding us back from reaching it? Are we clear on knowing where we're going? What's in our way to get there? If you're a startup, that could be, do we have a clear problem to solve? Do we know where we're going? Are we clear on the obstacles to overcome, the capital needed, the people needed, the market needed? Question 2 is market. What is our market? So where do we play? Who's our ideal customer in that market? What do they actually value? So what are their value drivers? And therefore, what perceptions do we need to build in that ideal customer that we can satisfy those value drivers? So what is our market? Who's our ideal customer? What do they value? And therefore, what perceptions do we need to build? What do they need to know about us? Question 3 is the strategy question. And again, in strategy doesn't mean instead of actions. That's the very functional meaning. In business planning, strategy means position in market. So what is our strategy? What is our position in market? Where is our growth focused, and how do we improve that positioning? So what is our strategy? Where's our growth focused? How do we improve that positioning? Question 4, and by the way, those first 3 questions are about directional clarity. Question 4, 5 and 6 focus on functional clarity, and obviously question 7 on performance clarity. But question 4 is, what is our business model? Is it creating value? What metrics tell us this? And what practices in our business model improve our value proposition? So what is our business model? So, answer that, document that. Is it creating value? Are we delivering something of value to our customer? What metrics tell us this? So is it making us money? How do we really know that we're delivering value? And what practices, what behaviors, what things we do in our business model actually continuously reinforce that value proposition so we're not a one-hit wonder? Question 5, And by the way, the functional clarity in the business model is very much around the finances, financial planning, key metrics, and the business model. The fifth question is the customer experience question. What is our customer experience? How do we acquire, retain, and grow our customers through our journey and our promise, and what improvements need to be made? So this is clearly where sales, marketing, and service live. And question 6, what is our employees' experience? How do we acquire, retain, and grow our talent through our journey and promise to market, and what improvements need to be made? And this certainly functionally is where functions like people and culture, information technology live. And then lastly, in answering the 7 questions, question 7 is the question of action. What are the 1, 2, or 3 things that if delivered over the next quarter or half or year or 3 years, shift the needle on the business? So what's our highest and most important priorities? And really that question is answered throughout each of those areas by identifying the outcomes, the goals that lead up to that primary goal. So as a framework for business planning, the 7 questions are a fantastic start because the 7 questions can be as simple as 7 high-level questions scratched out on a notepad on a 1-page plan, or they could be deep and complex and mapped out over 50 pages on a document. And that really is the answer. Your plan should cover the clearest answers needed to the 7 questions to reach the next step of the journey, whatever that next step might be. So think about the answers to those questions and go, well, you know what, if I'm year 1 in my startup and struggling to find product market fit, and perhaps I really don't need to have the deepest answers to all those questions. Perhaps question 1 and 2 might be the most important questions to answer. And really, question 7 is, well, what's the 1 or 2 most important things I need to do? 1, find a customer, close a customer, and repeat that process 5 times. That might be the most important thing I need to do. Well, then really you're answering question 1 and 2 deeply and the rest lightly. And you can get the idea here that the more you ask and answer the questions, the deeper you'll start to go, the greater traction you'll have within your marketplace, the greater depth of understanding you'll have in your marketplace, and the greater amount of value you'll have in the marketplace. So quite truly, as I said earlier, the plan provides the clarity and alignment which positions the team for results. Now, there are some tools here in our planning. And as a planner, a thinker, a leader, if you are the planner, you need to practice what we describe as 2 types of thinking, divergent thinking and convergent thinking when you're planning. So what does that mean? It means that when we come to thinking through problems and brainstorming and open spacing ideas, we're practicing divergent thinking. That's thinking that says perhaps the answer we have today is not right. Let's ask a new question, or let's ask the same question and get a new answer. We're going to have divergent thinking. We want more than one answer on the table. We want to challenge the status quo. Convergent thinking is when we take all the possible ideas and we converge them into a final clear statement. And so in our business planning toolkits and our planning toolkits, we have 2 instruments that can help you with that, 1 for each. And that is what we call a divergent thinking canvas, which is about workshopping an idea, workshopping a section of the plan. It might be a vision and purpose statement. So that could be question 1. It might be market understanding or an ideal customer, question 2. Versus a clarity statement, which helps you take the possibilities and frame them into a singular idea. So it forces you to compress your thinking into a possible clear statement. And you might have to rerun that many times to get clear, but it will land you on clear thinking. And as we always say with clarity statements and canvases, do the brainstorming, develop a clarity statement, but don't just kind of fill in the blanks. Write it, rewrite it again, simplify it until it becomes your own, until it's your words, your language, but it's been shaped and formed through clear thinking. And so you might end up with a clarity statement that's one sentence, that's brutally simple and brutally clear, but it is backed up with some good structured thinking behind. And really, that's the power of divergent thinking, workshopping ideas, and convergent thinking in each of those 7 areas in order to form directional clarity, functional clarity, and performance clarity. Now, the good news here is that a business plan will hold all of those sections, and we wouldn't be building good software if that software couldn't make life easy for you. So I'm going to take a few minutes and take you into Waymaker, because every user of Waymaker has access to playbooks. Playbooks are cloud documents, if you like, a canvas on which you can write content, deploy data, add scorecards, dashboards, content from other parts of Waymaker. And playbooks are great for writing plans. So every playbook center has what we call Waymaker global templates or Waymaker templates. They are templates that at Waymaker we've written and deployed to every organization using Waymaker. So you might call those best practice templates and standards. In there will be a business planning template with all the divergent, convergent toolkits, the canvases and clarity statements you need for a full business plan, which means you may not need the full business plan. So I'm going to show you in a minute how to go and get the full plan, how to deploy that into your instance in one click so that you can then adapt it to your needs, add your content, data. You can even add goals and outcomes on scorecards as you're building out your plan. You can add team members to collaborate on that. You can share it publicly if you need to once it's done to boards or investors or stakeholders. And then if you really like what you've built, you can save it as a template into your own template library and allow other team members in Waymaker to access that. So kind of a cool piece of kit, really. So with that in mind, I'm going to take you in there and take you through some of the key sections. Okay, welcome into Waymaker.io, and we're in the app and I'm in the playbook section. Now, playbooks are cloud documents or cloud places where you can produce written content, data scorecards, projects, tasks. Any data element from across Waymaker can be embedded into a playbook with written content. So playbooks, use case, are fantastic for plans, SOPs, reports, anything you need to collaborate and share. In the playbook section, we have any playbooks you've created, very easy. Hit create playbook to create a playbook. Templates you've created, so that's creating a playbook and saving into the template library. And you'll see these in green. And then global templates or Waymaker templates, which we as Waymaker have published globally into users' instances. Now, I'm in a example demo org. Our favorite CEO, Pete, who's the CEO of a fictitious electric vehicle company called Birkin Wheels EV, who make an off-road vehicle. Now, sole reason for this is to show you the business plan template that we can go and get and work with. So in Waymaker templates, jump in, you'll see lots in here, probably more than what you're seeing now, and go and click on Waymaker Business Plan Template. It will open a preview mode of the template. So all global templates, Waymaker templates will open in this format. And effectively what you're looking at is the public sharing model of that template. So you can explore it, see the different sections. Where you see a chevron, it expands out So for example, in customer experience, we've got all the content for CX. Now, you want this template because it's kind of the full Monty of business planning template. To do that, you want to go and hit deploy, and that's going to clone this template into your Waymaker playbooks. So success, we've just deployed the Waymaker business plan template. And if I go back to my playbooks, we can see that the Waymaker business plan template is now here in my playbooks as Pete, the CEO of BWEV. And I'm going to click on the settings and make it the BWEV FY24 business plan. Great. Now in here also I can invite team members and they will see it in their playbooks and they can come and be collaborators, or I can turn off their editing access and they can just be viewers. Additionally, in our settings, you can share these cloud documents publicly, like a little micro website or shared cloud document. We've now turned our Waymaker business plan template into the FY24 business plan. And let me talk you through the contents and structure. The first thing I want to say and reinforce is that key message in this masterclass, that your business plan needs to be as short as possible and as long as needed. So if you are a younger business, a young startup, just in the early stages of growth, you will not necessarily have all the supporting information and full detailed plans, for example, in people and culture and IT and sales and marketing. You may just have one-page summaries of what you're doing to get customers. That's okay. That's why we like that flexible framework around the 7 questions that's built around these areas of vision, market strategy, business model, customer experience, and employee experience. And as I said earlier, directional clarity comes from vision, market, and strategy. Functional clarity comes from the business model and financial outcomes, the customer experience and the functions of sales, marketing, and service, and the employee experience and the functions of people, culture, IT, and any other functions that might exist in your organization. Every business plan needs to be adapted and customized to each business, but there are some best practice principles that you want to carry through, hence this course, hence this template. What's in the plan? I'll go through the headlines and we'll delve in. So exec summary is what it is. Vision will carry the vision, purpose, challenges and roadblocks as an organization. It should also carry the roadmap, which can be injected as a project or as a roadmap. In goals, in the roadmap section, you can build a roadmap of goals, and on the page, you can come to the settings, add section, insert roadmap, and choose a roadmap to be put in. And once you have filtered your roadmap, you can bring it down into your strategic roadmap and filtered to the goals that matter for your journey. Okay, moving on. Market. Effectively, we're looking at that second directional clarity. So we're looking at the market canvas. We have the canvas. We have the clarity statements for workshopping. And as your business grows, these will become much, much easier to answer. You're not going to be working out who your market is every year or every quarter. You're going to be working out some fundamentals and adapting and growing on these. So cloning these playbooks over time, working with these over time, it's going to help you in terms of maintaining clarity and alignment across your team. So within the market section, the overall market knowledge, and then the supporting sections of market size, TAM, SAM, SOM, ideal customer profiles, and research and insights. As you're starting to see, we've embedded the workshop canvases and the clarity statements for the different sections. So strategy is going to hold strategic statement and competitive advantages or strategic advantages. Business model is going to hold your business model, your customer value proposition frameworks, P&L summaries that you can bring in as content from Excel or charts or Power BI dashboards, depending on how you work. Key metrics, so what are our performance metrics as a business for the year? Again, you can embed those as scorecards from within Waymaker. And in customer experience, the customer map, so customer journey maps, marketing plan, sales plan, service plan, each of these have the canvases and the clarity statements to think through the clarity and the alignment. Again, depending on size of business, depending on maturity of business, you may or may not need some of these sections in this detail. But certainly as you build the clarity and the organizational knowledge, this is where you will capture it and hold it in your plan. It's also worth noting that sometimes sales, marketing, service are attachments to a plan, and a summary might sit, as a highlight in CX. That's okay too. These are drag and drop. You can move them around. Just select the chevron and move them up or down, and you can put these wherever appropriate in terms of the content of your plan. Of course, these are cloud documents, so multiple people can be working on these at once. So within CX, the CX promise and journey, the service plan, which I'll move back to the bottom, the sales plan, the marketing plan, the service plan. And within each of these, by the way, are subsections. So we've given you a framework for a sales plan that comes out of the sales plan course and guide. So there's a workshop kit here for sales leaders and sales teams, and you can unlock a sales plan. So each of these sections relate to a section on the canvas. That's the same for marketing. That's the same for service. It's also the same in employee experience, where in employee experience we're interested in the EX promise, people and culture, and IT. And so whether it be people and culture or information and tech, there's a framework, there's a mini plan. Again, your business may not require detailed plans in all of these subsections. We're providing you with a full kit of a standard business, of a standard size, in a best practice way. Take this template, use the frameworks to apply that divergent thinking. So if it's people and culture planning, you're working through your people, your culture, your strategic initiatives. One of the key things around strategic initiatives is strategic initiatives ought to be the things that help you do the day-to-day better to hit your metrics. So if an initiative doesn't do that, if it doesn't have a direct relationship to the performance of key metrics, it's not strategic, and it's probably not an initiative you should be focusing on. So without getting caught into the detail of each of these function as standalone departmental or functional plans. As you build them up, they give you the elements of your total plan. Now, of course, there's a financial element to this that you might be building in your finance platform, which could be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, or it could be a financial planning tool or a business planning tool for finance, like a Runway or a Xero or a QuickBooks. That's fine. Talk to us. We can bring in the integration to empower those financial metrics to come to be tracked as outcomes on goals, so that when you start embedding goals and outcomes, so build a goal in Waymaker, drop it into your plan using a section. So let's just go ahead and do that. We're going to drop just as an example, a goal into this page. So I'm going to go to the page, settings, add a section. I'm going to choose goals, and I'm going to choose Pete's goals. And we have dropped the goals into the plan. As Waymaker users, you can interact with these goals. So you can go ahead and click on that and see the goal detail page. We can see performance tracking, if we're tracking a chart or a progress over time. And we can filter our goals and organize our goals to meet these relevant sections. So remember, directional clarity, vision, market, strategy; functional clarity, business model, sales, marketing, service, people, culture, IT, and CX and EX; and performance clarity coming in from goals or scorecards. So if we wanted to add a scorecard, we could drop that scorecard in. So I'll just show you that example. I'm going to add page settings, add a section, choose a scorecard, and I'm going to pick the executive scorecard and drop that in. And we're now looking at our live scorecard, tracking whatever performance outcomes that we've put onto that scorecard. You want to know how to build a scorecard, jump into one of our other videos or in the help center. Again, Waymaker data models that or data objects that you're working with, such as goals, tasks, scorecards in dashboards or goals. These are all interactive and dynamic. So as this goal improves, it will improve in real time in your plan. You'll see the performance outcomes coming through, that performance clarity coming through live on your business plan. So if you've set a goal of deliver 4 million in revenue and you're at 1.75, fantastic. You can see the journey towards that. Ultimately, we want to give you the ability through playbooks and templates to build best in class, best practice, clarity and alignment and performance outcomes so that it's faster and easier to build good plans that are agile, that can be effective, that have real-time tracking in them and give you directional clarity, functional clarity, and performance clarity. Okay, I think I want to sum it up there and come back to our problems and solutions. So when we think about the underlying problems that we are facing in a business plan, the reality is that business plans fail for many reasons. And so when we look at those reasons, we can see that there are solutions to stopping those failure rates. For example, a lack of clear expectations, okay, set directional clarity. A lack of market insight, work through understanding your market, its size, and its value drivers. Unrealistic expectations, set functional clarity with realistic goals and outcomes. Poor risk management, well, track performance to target outcomes and adapt and change. You've got the tools to do that. That leads to lack of agility. Well, Waymaker can give you the planning, tracking, meeting, and continuous improvement tools to find that edge. Insufficient capital, we'll understand what you really can achieve, plan for that, and drive to that. Ownership, well, if it's not in an outcome on somebody's goal, it's not owned. If it's not a project with a project task board, it's not owned. Therefore, make sure that the things that matter are in your goals and your task boards and track them effectively through your meetings. Now, meteors will happen. Remember, we have to hold the future lightly and the present tightly so that if the world does change, we have the skills and the systems to adapt to that change more effectively than those around us. Ultimately, those are the keys to winning with effective planning. Thank you for joining our webinar. You can find more resources in Waymaker Academy. Visit waymaker.io/academy. You can also find a whole bunch of articles on our blogs, and you can subscribe to our podcast where we'll post audio versions and snippets from these masterclasses and chats with real people around what's going on in the business world today. I want to thank you for being part of the Waymaker community and using Waymaker to make a new way to build a better business. Thank you.